Hey, so I wanted to go in a little bit more in detail. A couple things that I think, based on what I've listened to, read, and facts, um, how I feel. So, Kurt's intervention, which would have happened right about exactly 25 years ago, I think it was March 25th or 26th or something like that, was not a suicide intervention, okay? That intervention was specifically for drugs because he was doing drugs, okay? We all know that. Um, and part of the intervention, it seems to be, which I don't know for sure, there may be bits of interviews here and there that do point. Kurt was tired of Nirvana, you know? He didn't want to do the band anymore. Um, that's, there was other things like, there's one little clip, I don't know if this is true, but it makes sense that he was going to do some recording with Greg Sage, some recording with Michael Stipe, which that's seems to be semi-factual. And, you know, like, he did that recording with William Burroughs. Who knows what Kurt was going to do? And even there's clips of him talking about, wanting to play, looking at the future and, playing acoustic more. Um, and even the last recordings that are documented, it's not with the very last recordings. I don't think they're even with Chris and Dave. And I've also heard that Chris and Dave were not at that intervention. And then I've read that just Dave was. And actually, I've also read that Courtney was kicked out of the intervention. So for me, there's speculation. I don't know as many of the facts. And again, when it comes to listening to somebody speak and regarding if they're lying or not, you have to judge somebody's character, and I think that's really important. Kurt needs to be defended here, and I think everybody would agree on this point. The people that knew Kurt, he wasn't a liar. He was just like in fact, he was. He did what he did, and he got to where he did because he believed in himself and was honest. That's a fact of the matter. And if he did lie here and there, if there's anything that comes out, it's going to be a regular petty lie that you couldn't even consider in the context of what I am talking about, okay? Courtney, on the other hand, is proven, okay? Proven to be very manipulative and very much a liar, making up stories for her own advantage in the media, to people that she knew to get her way. That's a fucking fact, man. Okay? There's just, you can't fucking dispute that, you know? Um, and now, an interview like with Mary Lou Lord where she states firsthand from her experience lies that were put out that absolutely affected her life profoundly and put out through major publications, and for years. So lies and power and money can work together, you know? Now we're going to go back to, I think it's March 3rd of 1994. So there's a few facts that we know surrounding when Kurt was on tour. Kurt was on tour, and in Munich, and then the family flew out to meet with him in Rome. So it was a break, okay? It was a break. He was meeting with his family. And at that point, there is recorded telephone calls. And, okay, so he was really unhappy. He was like unhappy with the band. He didn't want to play in the band anymore, okay? That's what it sounded like, you know? He didn't want to do Lollapalooza. The rest of the tour was canceled, so he was playing guitar within a couple weeks after the Rome incident, which was an OD, okay? To consider that a suicide attempt is absolutely it's an insult to Kurt's intelligence and what type of person he was. There's no way he would have tried to kill himself in the middle of a fucking tour. No, it wouldn't have fucking happened. This would not have happened. So anybody that thinks that, I feel 100% that that is absolutely wrong. When he woke up from the coma and Courtney handed him a pen and a piece of paper, he wrote, "Fuck you." And then he asked for a milkshake. I don't know, you know, if he took that many roofies to see that's the whole thing. It's like it's an insult to Kurt's intelligence that he would just take too many to make that happen. That wasn't like Kurt. He was fucking like he was an intelligent person where he's not gonna, especially in the middle of a fucking tour, you know? It's like no. Would he have because he was upset? Maybe, but probably not, you know? So yeah, there's some speculating here, but somebody's got to defend Kurt, and if everybody's just gonna, you know, just go like, well, we're defending Courtney because she's the one that's alive, you know? She's the one that says what happened. No, that should not be happening, guys. That should not be happening. Because if something happened to Kurt that was wrong, somebody has to acknowledge and defend Kurt. They have to, and he's not being defended. It's you know, most of the public believes in the that there was suicide attempts, you know? That's what I'm trying to talk about here, which is really important. So everybody that's listening to it, including people that I know very, very well, that's one of the very important things. Kurt needs to be defended here, you know? Because most of the public thinks that he had suicide attempts, and then when he killed himself, it was just, oh, you know, God, he was just ready to go. He was so upset. What I'm trying to point to is that there's proof that that's not true. You know, it's not. Now we're going to get to the letter. So when you realize that Kurt was not suicidal, okay? Even if in the very end, you know, on the 5th or whatever, he decided, fuck it, I'm done, okay? We're gonna chalk it up to that. Like one day on the 5th, he was just like, fuck it, I'm done. Shoots himself up and then kills himself. Okay? Okay. So we're just gonna say that happened. On the note, again, this is an insult to Kurt's intelligence in a huge, huge way. First of all, that is a note to all of the fans. And it's obvious he was leaving the band. He was tired of playing in Nirvana. There's proof of that. Okay. Now it's a huge insult to Kurt that he would only write Francis's name, his daughter, which he loved more than anything. You know, even the friend that I have that saw Courtney at the memorial and handed the gown to him, told him, crying on his shoulder, Courtney or Kurt only loves Francis. Okay, that was right then. So, that's even what Courtney thought. Kurt loved Francis. There's no fucking way he's going to only write her name down. You know, I mean, keep going for, you know, in the very end of the letter, he's going to be sobbing his eyes out, writing a letter to his family that it's all about his fans. You know, it's all about what they're going to think. So I better write this long letter to them, to all of my fans, and at the very end, just write a little just blurb to Courtney and Francis. No. You know, no. And it's absolute bullshit that that's a suicide note. Absolute bullshit. And they say there was another note, but then that's pretty much been shown to be a complete lie because of lies said about it. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's just so much wrong with it. So, when all in all is said and done, I don't believe Kurt was suicidal. I don't believe he was. I don't believe that note. I believe that note was very possibly Kurt went to IHOP and started to write something. You know, he was tired of the band. You know, that makes so much sense, man. It does. It really does. Kurt's character and everything that was going on, he was tired of the band. You know? It's obvious. He's fucking tired of the band. Really tired of it. He wanted to move on. Anyway, when all is said and done, he may have OD'd. Probably around the 3rd. April 3rd is my guess. Because on the 4th, when there was news stories going out, supposedly by his mom saying Kurt's suicidal and is missing, Kurt would have somehow heard that from somebody he was with, something. He would have heard that, and he would have called immediately. You know, he would have called somebody and said, no, this is bullshit, it's a lie, you know. So he was probably either being held captive or dead by probably pretty early on the 5th or the 4th. Or the 3rd. I don't think it's a conspiracy. A conspiracy is like 9/11. This actually has some clear facts, which has taken years and years and years to come to light. You know, all of Tom's phone calls that he has have taken years to come to light. And if those people out there are just going to ignore those and not listen to them and not listen to, you know, some very specific parts, which really tell some important details about people's character and how people were feeling at that moment, then, you know, just don't even worry about the story. You really shouldn't have an opinion either way unless you listen to those very closely. Like there's probably a good hour plus of phone calls that you can listen to. And it's very important that you do. Listen to them very closely. And if you're done listening to them and going like, I don't know, well, listen to them again, because there's stuff in there that's very important. You need to hear all the phone calls that have been released. There's obviously more that have not been released, but there's probably some sensitive information that can't go public. Sensitive information possibly about certain people, you know? I mean, that's the only reason things don't go public, you know? That's the only reason he doesn't release all of the recordings, is my feeling, because there is some sensitive information, you know? Alright, that's enough. Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye.